principle applies, let's say, in municipal government. Individual liberty, transparency, and a lack of debt actually allows economies to thrive. It's the only principle, actually, that does so. And there's a good example of this. There's a town called Sandy Springs in Georgia, where the government there, the municipal government, outsources all of its services except for the police and the fire. Sandy Springs has no long-term debt. Folks in Robbinsville and the folks in other municipalities around here could really learn a lot from them. I think the individual citizens should be treated as individual citizens, and they should pay for their own services as they wish. They should be able to name the price of what they want to buy and choose the company they want to buy from, and municipal government shouldn't be providing any services other than police and fire. So I want to know if you would consider this in your long-term vision for Robbinsville.
We'll open that up to comment. I'm not prepared to comment on that.
You're not prepared in the sense that you have no opinions on the matter?
I have a counter opinion which I'm not obligated to share with you at this point.
You're not obligated to, but it seems like...
I'm not going to debate you. This is your public comment. You can make statements to council, and so please continue to do so.
Well, I just want to say, it seems as if Sonia had tried to make a comment to you, and you did as little as you could to give her an ample response. Now, I'll tell you, I had this problem in East Windsor, too. I ask a question, and I could at least get an acknowledgement of what your general ideological view is on that, and what is your vision for Robbinsville long-term? Can you share with your fellow citizens, your taxpayers, exactly what you hope for them in the future?
It's your time, sir, to comment.
So you don't want to respond to me?
It's your time to comment. It's public comment.
Yes, and so I'm using my comment to ask questions.
I'm not going to debate this with you. It's your time to comment, so please move on, make your points, and...
So are we not allowed, so are you, just so I'm clear about how public forum works in Robbinsville, because in Heightstown, they actually answer every question that their taxpayers have during the public forum. Is that against your policy to answer questions during the public forum?
It's time for your public comment, sir.
Is it against your policy?
I answered your question.
You didn't, though, because I asked specifically, is there, is there an ordinance in the Robbinsville Book of Ordinances that says that you are not allowed to answer a question during the public forum?
Mark, is there a...
No.
Nor is an ordinance that requires you to comment.
So, you could, in theory, have the respect to volunteer and answer, yes or no? How come you don't want to answer that question?
Because it's public comment, sir. We've told you that 3 times.
I understand that, but there's a trend in town council meetings where during the public comment there are questions that are issued to the town council, and then the town council says, yeah, thank you, I really appreciate what you say, and then they never even acknowledge what has been said during the public forum. So are your public forums held just for you to pay lip service to your taxpayers, just to let them talk and then you evade everything they say? Is that how things are run here? You don't want to answer that either.
Hold on. What is your question, though? You were just asking us for our opinion. You said that Sandy Springs outsources all the service except police. Well, we're doing our best to share services with East Windsor, Hampton Township, Allentown, Heightstown. But I mean, what was your question at the beginning of all this?
So my question was, do you consider, as part of your long-term vision for Robbinsville, outsourcing your services, not to other municipalities, but to private companies?
We haven't decided on private companies. We're working with other townships, but I don't know whether, it's something for us to think about. Now that you mentioned it to us, it's something for us to think about.
Just to chime in, I mean, you're answering a question about sharing services, about sharing services with other municipalities. It's absolutely something the Township of Robbinsville does. We do it with Hamilton Township, we do it with Allentown, we do with East Windsor, so where you can consolidate services and save money, I say we've done that.
My question was in regard to outsourcing to private companies
What kind
specifically.
of private companies?
What are their qualifications?
Exactly.
Qualified?
Right, so these are fair questions. So what I'm asking is, are you looking into this? Are you asking questions? Are you asking, how can we perhaps up the competition in the market, stimulate the economy, and look for people who might be able to provide better services for this? I'll give you an example. Sandy Springs actually outsources their 911 calls to Cranberry. So, I mean, there are certain things, there are
Sandy Springs, Georgia, to Cranberry up here?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it would be something for us to think about. We can mention it to our mayor, our police department. They're giving us things to think about, and so, you know, that's what I was thinking, that you were just giving us your opinion, and then we usually think about things. We weren't trying not to answer you, but, you know, when you said outsource things, I don't know about private companies or anything. I think what we're trying to do is do savings for townships and county, you know, by having just one expense, so that everyone doesn't have a police department, like, you know, their own. Now we're sharing services, we're repairing cars, doing police, and ambulance and fire and all that. So we are working
And if
toward
you're
that.
asking, should government be streamlined, do I believe government should be streamlined? Absolutely. I believe government should be streamlined. There should be minimal duplication to keep, you know, the cost of operating a town as low as possible. But, you know, without knowing the qualifications of, you know, a said private company to do something, I don't think that's, you know, any basis to comment. So as long as you have the principle, I think everybody up here would agree that, you know, you want to streamline government and make it as cost effective as possible.
I appreciate that. I think that was a really thoughtful, respectful answer, and I want to thank you profoundly for that. Tell me if this falls into the budget, and if this is something I should save for later, the Amazon deal. Am I free to speak about that now? Okay, I do appreciate that. I think it's great that Amazon chose Robbinsville as a place to operate one of their warehouses, but I also think that they should not be given special deals. That is a form of corporate welfare. The idea that Amazon would get any kind of special consideration, that they would be treated as unequal under the law, or the idea that the taxpayers, other than the folks at Amazon, would be the stock shareholders, would be treated as unequal under the law. I mean, that violates the principle that goes back to the wonderful brilliance of Abraham Lincoln. His basis for abolishing slavery was all citizens are equal under the law. That was the point that they made in the movie. Maybe it was a revisionist and that wasn't good. But I would say the movie certainly was profound in saying that all citizens should be treated equal under the law. And I'm no communist. I'm a libertarian, so I don't think that people should be treated equally in terms of their economic productivity. I'm talking about equal under the law. That is a sound, logical principle. And so I hope that you would extend that courtesy to your taxpayers here. Because if it amounts in a subsidy for Amazon, then you violated their freedom. You didn't give them the right to choose whether or not they wanted to subsidize Amazon.com. I think they make that choice when they go online and buy something from Amazon. Now, I do understand that this gives you an extra $650,000, but I think you would be receiving that money immorally, and that's the problem. Again, all citizens should be equal under the law. And now, speaking of that $650,000, would you please tell me exactly how you decided on that number?
Were you part of the pilot?
Some negotiations, but it's a formula based upon statute.
What is the name of that statute so that I could look that up?
It's the very long-term tax abatement.
And in what what forum was this officially, did you go through all the numbers? Like, who did you go through all the numbers with?
The statute governs the application process, and when it has to be shown, when it has to be determined.
Okay. You did have, it is legal for you not to treat them differently under the law, right? That's legal.
Do I need to respond?
If you'd like to respond.
They were treated, they were treated the same way as any other taxpayer would be treated if they made the application. They're treated no different.
Not really, they don't pay property taxes.
But they do, actually.
Okay, then I stand corrected. But it does seem as if you're playing special games with their property taxes.
No, that's something the legislature of New Jersey enabled municipalities to adopt as part of the statutory process.
Okay. Well, then I thank you for your answer. Just one last comment. I do thank you for answering my questions because, as maybe you see in the country, there's this major lack of there's a sense of apathy in the country. 40% of New Jerseyans didn't vote in the presidential election. Not a lot of folks are here at this meeting today. Robbinsville is a pretty big town, so it's disappointing not to see more people here. In East Windsor, folks don't even go to those meetings. Hightstown, the size is moderate. And I think it just comes down to willingness to be transparent. I think the reason that there's so much apathy and resentment, I think we saw it in Sonia, was that there was a sense of resentment and reluctance on your part at first to answer questions. I mean, it took me, I really had to push you to answer my questions. I was clear about the question, and so I'm a little disappointed about that at that point, but I do appreciate that at the end you did seek transparency, because that's the only way you're going to win the respect of your taxpayers. And that's all for now. Thank you so much.